Today is a nice sunny day. I've got the skylight above me, so I've got lots of natural light in here. And I am going to start mudding. Get my first coat on all of the screw holes and all of the seams. Take off my temporary coat rack. And because I waited to do this until Griffin was down for a nap, like I always do, I'm not using a drill. I'm going to use the silent screwdriver. I've done a bit of mudding over my career. When you're working doing renovations, oftentimes there's little patch jobs and little jobs that you don't want to hire out to subcontractors, and this is that kind of job. I know that I can get this done fairly easily, and it doesn't have to be perfect, even though I am definitely a perfectionist, and once I get started, I want to make it look as good as possible. But what I always start with is going over where I'm going to be mudding and making sure that there's no protrusions. And if there are, so like where I just took off this coat rack, just go in and dent them in a little bit so they're not sticking out. Give it a little scrape off. Drywall's pretty easy to put little dents into. You also want to make sure that none of your screws, ooh, first one, are sticking out. Because when you're mudding, obviously that'll not be a nice finish. Doesn't matter so much along the seam because there will be a big coat of mud along here. So it'll cover any of the protrusions, even little screws that are sticking out a little bit, but obviously on the flat surface of the drywall, that's when you know you have a good drywall installer. There's hardly any imperfections and you can just mud. I'd say I'm average. And as someone commented on my last video, throwing up the boards is easy, mudding and taping is an art, and practice makes perfect. So the more that you do it, the better you get at it. And I just end up doing a lot more sanding than someone that does this all the time, but it is very satisfying to make this all disappear. I'm also hoping that we got the boards tight enough because this is a temporary solution. I might just caulk the seams because they are tight enough to the wall. Normally you would be finishing this with some kind of tape and mudding into this corner as well. I'm just gonna run a bead of caulk and it'll take me an extra 5 minutes to do, so it's not that big a deal. I think other than this guy, I'm good to go. Drop sheet down. Man, it is just so nice when the sun is shining. Okay, and for this project, I am using what I have left over from other projects, and this is a kind of pre-mixed mud. It's dust control, so it's supposed to be low dust when you sand. It's not the most economical when you're doing a lot of mudding. Drywallers that come in and mud a whole house would not be buying this. But for smaller projects and to keep the dust down, I've used this. I don't know if it actually keeps the dust down, but it says it does, so I'm gonna trust that. Maybe there's some mudders and tapers watching this and they can comment and let me know if this actually stands up to its claims of being a dust control product. Oh no. I think I'm gonna add some water to this and mix it up because it's been sitting for a while. I don't remember how old this stuff is, but it's been sitting for a bit. Ooh, I need water. Pause. Ta-da! But the last thing that you want is chunky, dry, hard to work with mud. That's what this is right now. Hopefully I can salvage it by adding some water and mixing it up. We shall see. Okay, let's add some water. Oh, not to my boot. You also don't want to add too much water because you don't want it too runny. You want to make sure you hold on to it with your boots because the bucket tends to spin. Remember when I said don't add too much water? You also don't want to add too much water because you don't want it too runny. If this was a powdered mix, I'd just add more powder to bring up the consistency a little, but it is not. Might be a bit runny. It might be okay, actually. It's borderline. Man, why did I do that? Oh, there's some on the sides. Let's see if I can fix it. Okay, that actually looks pretty good. Now, while I'm waiting for the mud to set up a little bit, to become a little bit thicker as it sits there, I am going to put this mesh tape on the seam of the drywall. You don't have to worry about mesh tape on the drywall screws, but anywhere the drywall meets, you need some kind of tape to keep the seam from cracking. I have mesh tape on hand. A lot of people use paper tape as well. So essentially, you just run it right along the seam and make sure that you kind of use your hands to stick it to the surface as you go. And the reason why I'm carrying this trowel is that once you get to the end, you can use the trowel to cut it. Just like that. No, I made this too watery. Ah, boy. I feel like a lot of people are intimidated by mudding, rightfully so. It's very hard. Would never want to tackle a whole house and make it look good. But if you're just patching a couple holes, you can't really mess it up. You can play around with putting the mud on, taking it off, and if you happen to leave too much on, you can sand it off. So really, it's kind of fun to play with. And especially on this first coat where you're just kind of filling in all of the holes, you can't really go wrong. I think the only thing I've ever been told was less is more. So you can always add more coats. Once this one dries, feel like a kid again, playing with mud, literally. Professional mudders would look at this and laugh, but I am not a professional mudder. And I never will be, so just doing my best. I try to think about learning, like how I would want Griffin to learn and to feel unafraid to try new things and to experiment and not be embarrassed when you make mistakes and fail, because those are our greatest learning experiences. Teachers, as adults, and especially as like a high achieving kind of perfectionist, I think we take ourselves out of learning situations because we don't want to look like we don't know what we're doing. And that's sad, because how else do you learn if you don't put yourselves in those situations? So I'm constantly having to remind myself of that, but now having Griffin and wanting to pass on these lessons to him, I always think about how I would want him to feel doing something new. And if I want him to feel like that, then why don't I feel like that? There's a little girl, little Katie in there somewhere that would be super proud and super happy to try new things. and no one would be judging her. So I'm just gonna remind myself of that. So today we start a project that we've been putting off, even thinking about.
Yeah, since
Talking
the morning
about?
we moved in.
Yeah, I think we've moved stuff into this garage the first day we got here and haven't thought about it since.
Nope.
I don't even really remember what's in this garage because we kind of just like walk around it to try to find whatever we need.
Yeah.
All I know is that the garage needs to be cleared out in order to start working on it. Really, it needed to be done anyway, and we need organization in our lives, and we need to get rid of some things.
We probably realized everything that's in there we haven't used in the last 8 months.
So probably don't need it anyway.
Yeah.
But we're probably gonna see it and then be like,
Oh, we
"Ooh."
need that. Like all the hoarders.
Yeah, exactly. There's definite hoarder tendencies in this garage.
Don't judge us when this door opens.
Yeah, don't judge. But we are going to slowly start to sort through this garage, start to move things into the other garage and empty the space so I can really assess what needs to be done in here and start working on it, because eventually our goal is to have our gym in here. All right. Well, let's take a look.
There's garbage bags full of clothes.
Those are being donated.
Griffin's mini little Strider. He's
He's going to start using that soon.
Yeah.
So there are some good things in here. We just need some organization in our lives. And that starts today.
Let's get organized.
The thing is with something like this, when you look into the garage, it's just very overwhelming because there's so much stuff in here. And it's kind of hard to wrap your head around even starting because there's just a lot of stuff. So where do you start? Like, do we start at the front and start like clearing things out?
Yeah, I guess.
It's not like the other garage is empty either. We've got to find space for all of this stuff in the other garage.
Things get moldy out here.
Yeah, like, is that mold on that thing?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Anything fabric gets moldy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You have to check them all for spiders.
Yeah.
Could be a cool decoration.
They are.
This is the kind of stuff that we have in here.
Perfect fit. Halloween costume.
You can see how loose the springs get for this garage door when it's up. It's just like fast.
Attached by a bent coat hanger. It
Well,
looks
just
like wire,
but
might as well be a coat hanger. That side is like attached by flimsy tin.
all I know is that, so we are planning on taking this garage door out,
Yeah.
right? It'll feel a lot bigger in here when this thing's gone because you get that much more
Right, ceiling height.
space. And I don't know what we want to do in the space, whether we want to put like French doors.
Yeah, it could be a huge opening or else we fill it in.
I feel like we
regular
might miss
garage
that
door.
opening if we fill it in.
Well, especially since that's where the sun is most of the time, out that way.
Yeah.
9
I would
months a
rather
year.
almost eliminate that door
Yeah.
and have a door here. And
Oh,
I don't even love that window over there where it is. I'd rather a window right there.
probably not bad having 2 doors anyway. This one's closest to our house.
Eventually I'm planning on re-siding the whole thing anyway, so we can do whatever we want and then I'll finish the
Right.
siding to whatever we decide. 2 things that I've noticed. We have a lot of hockey equipment
Random hockey gear, yeah.
and we have a lot of building supply, tools, random house stuff. left over from my renovations.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and the second thing that I noticed is that there obviously was one or multiple rodents / rats that just made their home in here.
Yeah, one rat for sure, and they just eat anything they want. Random plastic, clothing.
As I'm clearing the wall off, I'm also removing any kind of nails that I see. And there's a couple huge nails that are coming through from the outside. So I started to knock them out and I checked out what they were doing. And I don't know if they just like ran out of regular size nails to hold the siding on, but there are two massive nails. 3.5 inches on this side that are seemingly just to keep the siding on. They're not even into a stud or anything, obviously. And I'm gonna take them out. Big guy. Why did they need to use such a big nail? What is that?
Mystery.
Maybe it's treasure.
That would be nice.
Gold bars.
Ooh, bamboo!
Your favorite.
Yeah, I love bamboo. That's funny. I was thinking gold bars as well.
Oh, it looks like almost like a bamboo screen. Or
Probably
I
stakes
wonder if it's like a, yeah.
for plants.
Nice. Okay, we'll
Yeah,
keep it in the
awesome.
box for now. Little gift from the old homeowners.
Yeah.
This is a big teepee. This would be fun for Griffin. I gotta go show Matt.
Just kind of sets itself up.
How cool is that? Just a random find in our garage.
Yeah, they must have forgotten about it. It looks brand new, a little dusty, but...
No, it was in full packaging. Perfect for Griffey. And it's huge. Like, this is a big one.
Come on in. Hello.
Hello.
Perfect. Handmade with love.
That's it for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and the little bell notification so that you get notified every time a new episode comes out. And if you do one thing this week, go make the little kid inside of you proud and try something new. Have fun, have a great week, and I'll see you next time.